this video, I'm making beta 1.5 to beta 1.5 underscore 0 to server. So, I'm making this video. Beta 1.5. Beta 1.5 is a version of Java Edition Beta released on April 19, 2011, which added statistics and achievements, new types of rails and saplings and cobwebs, among other changes and fixes. Here are some additions in Java Edition Beta 1.5, also known as Beta 1.5. Add-on blocks, birch sapling, grows into birch trees, can serve as fuel in furnaces, smelted 0.5 items per sapling. Cobweb, unobtainable in the game without inventory and to date, slows down the player and mobs. Cobwebs drop string when broken using a sword. Detector rail, used to detect minecarts on top of it. Unactivated to produce redstone power. Crafted with stone pressure plate, iron ingots, and redstone dust. Powered rail, needs to be powered by redstone. Transmits redstone signal to 8 powered rails far. Increase the speed of minecars. Crafted with stick, gold ingots, and redstone dust. Spruce sapling, grows into spruce trees. Can serve as fuel in furnaces. Melted 0.5 items per sapling. And on mobs, charge creepers. When struck by a lightning bolt, creepers now become charged. Have a much more powerful explosion. Non-mob entities, lightning bolt, may strike during thunderstorms, creating fire and dealing damage around it. Gameplay, achievements. There are currently 16 achievements. Icon achievement in game description. Parent actually requires a different identifier. Taking inventory, press E to open your inventory. Open your inventory, description matches the configured inventory key. Open inventory. Getting wood. Attack by a tree until a block of wood pops out. Taking inventory. Pick up wood from the ground. Mine wood. Benchmarking. Craft a workbench with 4 blocks of planks. Getting wood. Picked up a crafting table from inventory crafting field output or a crafting table outfit. Build workbench. Time to mine. Use planks and sticks to make a pickaxe. Benchmarking. Pick up a wooden pickaxe from a crafting table outfit. Build pickaxe. Hot topic. Construct a furnace out of 8 stone blocks. Time to mine. Pick up a furnace from a crafting table output. Build furnace. Acquire hardware. Smelt from an iron ingot. Pick up an iron ingot from a furnace output. Acquire iron. Time to farm. Use planks and sticks to make a hoe. Benchmarking. Pick up a wooden hoe from a crafting table output. Build hoe. Bake bread. Turn wheat into bread. Time to farm. Pick up a bread from a crafting table output. Make bread. The line. Wheat, sugar, milk, and eggs. Time to farm. Pick up a cake from a crafting table output. Bake cake. Getting an upgrade. Construct a better pickaxe. Time to mine. Pick up a stone pickaxe from a crafting table output. Build better pickaxe. Fish. Catch and cook fish. Hot topic. Pick up a cooked fish from a furnace output. Cook fish. On a rail. Travel by minecart at least 1 km from where you started. Acquire hardware. Travel by minecart to a point at least 1,000 blocks from where you started. Stands from insert in a straight line on a rail. Time to strike. Use planks and sticks to make a sword. Benchmarking. Pick up a wooden sword in a crafting table output. Build sword. Monster hunter. Attack and destroy monster. Time to strike. Kill a hostile mob or one of the following neutral mobs. Zombie pigment, spider, kill enemy. Cow tipper. Harvest some leather. Time to strike. Pick up leather from the ground. Kill cow. When pigs fly up. Pick up a cliff. Cow tipper. Be riding a pig. E dot using a saddle when it hits the ground with a fall distance greater than 5. Fly pig. Weather. Added natural occurring rain, snowfalls, and thunderstorms. And on general options, a ability to change GUI size. Small, normal, large, auto. Events OpenGL occlusion coding. Doesn't render blocks that the player can see. Helps the performance of the card that's supported. Particles. Added footstep. Statics disk. Added on the game menu. Next is changes. And on blocks. Bed. Sleeping in thunderstorms is now possible even in daytime. Birch leaves. Now drop birch saplings. Crying obsidian. Texture has now been removed from terrain, not PNG. Grass blocks. Texture changed from grass blocks. Old grass block can still be enabled if the graphics are set to fast. Ladders. Its crafting recipe now produces 2 ladders to offset to fix of the stagger the ladder exploit. Sapling can now serve as fuel in furnaces. Smelted 0.5 items per sapling. Spruce leaves now drop spruce saplings. Redstone can now be placed on snow. Several changes in redstone wire rendering. Due discharge, it no longer appears stretches when traveling vertically up a block. However, it still appears upset. Full of redstone wire is no longer black, which used to look like after before. Items. General. Dropped items in flowing water move faster than before. And on mobs, pigs. When killed by a burning, now drop cooked pork chops upon deaths. When struck by a lightning bolt, they now become zombie pigmen. Wolves, now more common, even in non-taiga and forest biomes. Non-mob entities, players. Unarmed damage was increased from 1 heart to 2 heart. Gameplay. Controls. Pressing tab to switches between input boxes. Shift plus F2 no longer creates a 36450x17700 pixel screenshot. Shift plus clicking on something in a chest immediately moves the selected items into the player's inventory and vice versa. Sky. Stars are now slightly dimmer. Technical. And on general performance, huge performance improvements for old and slow computers. Here are some fixes in Java Edition Beta 1.5, also known as Beta 1.5. 14 bugs were fixed. Players are only on a ladder, can climb it, fall slowly if the lower half is in the ladder block rather than any part of the player. It is no longer possible to climb with a 1 block gap in a ladder, or a ladder that starts the eye level. On fancy graphics, the size of grass blocks are now biome specific and match the shed on the top. Player movement through water has been fixed to previous speed. Warped pathfinding has now a better understanding of doors. They go through doors most of the time, but sometimes get stuck on the 3 pixel thickness of the door. The lighting on portals and ice has been fixed when using smooth lighting. Stairs are no longer transparent to light. On multiplayer, the House of Wolves are now synchronized between server and silent, causing wolves to only whimper when low on health, as opposed to all of the time. Redstone in off state is red again. Crops hit with water now drop seeds and wheat, as opposed to just wheat. Moving my cards to continue to move if the world is closed. The Mojang logo is the correct size when the silent is maximized. The exploit to make a chest 3 or more side by side, placing a water source and then placing a chest, and that source has been fixed. Sugarcane can only now be placed on dirt. Beta 1.5_01. Beta 1.5_01 is a version of Java Edition Beta, released on April 20, 2011, to fix some of the bugs and crashes in Beta 1.5. And on changes, blocks, snow layer, now included in replaceable blocks category. Mobs, wolf, spawn rate slightly reduced. Here's some fixes in Java Edition Beta 1.5_01, also known as Beta 1.5_01. 8 bugs were fixed. Blocks can now be placed on snow. Rain no longer goes through translucent blocks. Pumpkins are no longer worn backward on the player. This was also fixed, likely backported on the PC Gamer demo. The game no longer crashes when rails are placed next to detector rails, or vice versa. Ladders are no longer climbable when spaced every other block. Whoops are less common than in Beta 1.5, but still more common than in Beta 1.4. Blocks and items can no longer be placed into the output of slotted vertices. This fixing the statistic exploit. The game attempts to recover the world when a broken save is detected. Bugs. When cards can no longer be extinguished with water, taking an item out of the player's inventory crafting grid caused the game to crash. Beta 1.5_02 server. Beta 1.5_02 is a server-only version of Java Edition Beta, released on April 20, 2011, to fix a few issues with Beta 1.5_01. Beta 1.5_01 silence can connect to servers running Beta 1.5_02. Here are some fixes from Java Edition Beta 1.5_02 server, also known as Beta 1.5_02 server. 2 bugs were fixed. The game no longer crashes from internal server error, created by box in Beta 1.5_01 server in multiplayer. The saving chunk screen is no longer shown when taking an item out of a crafting table. And that's the version of Beta 1.5 to Beta 1.5_02 server. And I'll see you the next Sunday.